Hi everyone, welcome and thank you for joining us today. My name is Vidur Vura and I'm a solutions architect here at Meta. Joining me is my colleague Leonardo Di Castro Montero, who is a partner engineer on the Teleco Partner Engineering team. Together, we'll be walking you through one of the most significant technical changes coming to the WhatsApp business platform: the introduction of WhatsApp usernames and the new business scoped user ID or BSUID. Over the next few minutes, we'll cover what these changes mean for your integration, the specific payload and API updates you'll need to handle, and how to prepare your systems for a smooth migration. Let's get started. Before we dive into the technical changes, it's important to understand why WhatsApp is making this shift. Because understanding the motivation will help you make better architectural decisions for your integration. Now let's talk about why WhatsApp is launching this. WhatsApp has historically been built all around the phone number. But privacy is core to WhatsApp's philosophy and product. And phone numbers are very much tied to privacy. Research shows that people don't just view their phone number as a method of contact, but as a personal, private asset, which it is, and people want more control over when their personal information gets shared. To that end, as we have previously shared, WhatsApp is launching usernames soon. So that in the future, usernames will be optional, not mandatory. But if a user adopts a username, their username will be displayed rather than their phone number when messaging other users, one-on-one, within a group, and also with a business. And giving users the control to share their contact information, we think this may actually lead to better business outcomes too, because people will feel more comfortable engaging with businesses when their personal information, including their phone number, stays private. Now let's talk about the new backend identifier. We will cover what this new backend identifier is and what they will look like in your webhook payloads. We have introduced a new backend identifier called Business Scoped User ID or BSUID. This started getting sent in webhooks starting early April 2026. It's different from a username, which is set by the user, controlled by the user, and visible to other users. BSUID is a backend system-generated identifier, not visible to other users. It is scoped to the business portfolio level, which is one level higher than the WABA. It always starts with the user's two-letter country code, followed by a period and an alphanumeric string up to 128 characters, as shown in this example. And it's unique to each user and business portfolio pair. The BSUID is a persistent identifier and functions similar to a phone number. It's important to note that if a username changes, the BSUID will not change. However, if a phone number changes, the BSUID will change. You can also subscribe to a system webhook to tell you when the user's BSUID has changed. Now let's talk about the exact changes needed to your integration. Let's look at the code. Your webhook parsers need an update. In incoming message webhooks, for user-initiated messages and user replies, the new user ID field contains the BSUID as of early April. Crucially, the WA ID field, which currently holds the phone number, may be omitted if the user has adopted a username and phone number sharing conditions are not met, which we will get into. You'll also see their username in the profile object if it has been set. Quick field reference: BSUID lives in user ID within the contacts array and a phone number in WA ID. Same fields, same array. One thing worth noting for group messages: webhooks can be aggregated, so you may see multiple entries in the contacts or statuses arrays. but the mapping between phone number, BSUID and username will always be consistent within a single webhook. So you don't need to reconcile across entries. For incoming message webhooks, user initiated and user replies, here's what you'll always get. BSUID. Every time, regardless of whether the user has a username. Receiving a phone number is conditional. It depends on whether the user has adopted a username and whether the phone number sharing conditions are met. We'll cover those conditions in the next few slides. Username will be returned if the user has set one, but it's read-only context. You cannot use it to send messages. Sending is only supported via phone number or BSUID. A couple of important tips on BSUIDs. First, they cannot be retrieved proactively, only from active conversations via messaging webhooks due to privacy and anti-scraping protections. Second, make sure your systems are able to handle BSUID in the user ID field and also when the VAR ID field may be empty. This will ensure you will always receive messages from username adopters. Status webhooks will reflect these new identifiers too. One thing to keep in mind, you won't always receive every status webhook. For example, if a message can't be delivered because the user is offline, you may not get a delivered webhook. But you will always get the BSUID in the sent webhook whenever a message is successfully sent. This quick reference covers the identifiers returned in status webhooks: sent, delivered, read, and failed. You always get BSUID back regardless of whether you send the message to a phone number or a BSUID. And if you send to a phone number, you will always get the phone number back too. One tip here, rely on webhooks for BSUID, not sync API responses. Webhooks give you both the message state and the BSUID, even if you originally sent to a phone number. Sync responses won't carry any of the new identifier fields. While we have started returning BSUID for every user interaction, phone numbers may not always be present in webhooks once users start adopting usernames. But there are specific conditions under which we will continue to share phone numbers. If the user has not adopted a username, it's business as usual. Phone number continues to be shared alongside BSUID. Beyond that, there are two other scenarios where phone number will still be shared. First, if the user is stored in the business's contact book. And second, if there has been a prior interaction with the user's phone number in the past 30 days, meaning the business sent or received a message or call from that phone number. You will continue to receive the phone number for a rolling 30-day window. My colleague Leo will walk you through exactly how the contact book works and how the 30-day window plays out in practice. So stay tuned for that in the next section. Finally, let's look at sending messages. When sending via the API, you'll use the new recipient parameter to target a BSUID. The existing to parameter still works for phone numbers, and you can include both in the same request. If you do, the phone number takes the precedence. This applies to both standard and marketing messages. And if you target both a phone number and a BSUID simultaneously, it counts and is charged as a single message. That covers the core technical changes, new identifiers, webhook updates, and the sending API. To bring it all together, you now have a BSUID as a reliable, always present identifier. Phone number remains available under specific conditions, and your sending logic just needs one new parameter. I'll now hand it over to Leo, who will walk you through the migration tools available to help you make this transition, the rollout timeline, and answer some of the most common questions we have been hearing. Leo, over to you.
Thank you, Vidor. Now, let's talk about the tools and features we're launching to help support you through the transition. We will cover the contact book, the 30-day rolling window, the request contact info button, parent BSUIDs, and business username reservations. How does someone get stored in the contact book? This is a new feature that launched in early April 2026, which stores contact information on behalf of businesses to support conversations continuity once usernames start to get adopted. The contact book stores contact information, phone number, and BSUID for users that the business talks to after the feature was launched and enabled. Later, if a user adopts a username and sends a message to a business, the contact information in the contact book can be referenced. This means the username, BSUID, and phone number will all be sent in webhooks for username adopters who are stored in the contact book. The contact book is automatically enabled for all partners and businesses, and no further actions required to enable this functionality. Businesses can disable this if they wish, anytime via Meta Business Suite. Let's look at some scenarios. How does it work? In scenario 1, for a user interaction after the contact book feature launched, that phone number has gotten added to the contact book. Then, let's say in July 2026, if that user adopts a username and sends a message to your business, the business will get the BSUID, username, and phone number, because the contact has been stored in the contact book. In scenario 2, let's say there was a user interaction before the contact book launched, last year, for example, and then the business does not talk to the user or hear from the user until after the user adopts a username. Now, since there has been no interaction since the contact book launch, nothing has been stored, which means there will be nothing to reference later once a user adopts a username and initiates a message to the business. So the business is only going to receive BSUID and the username, and not the phone number. Note here that the contact book is at the business portfolio level, so contacts stored for one business phone number will be shared for all business phone numbers in that portfolio. If a user interacts with your support number, the contact is also available for your marketing number, as long as they are in the same portfolio. Even if the contact book does not have an entry, there is another mechanism. If you have sent or received a message or call from a user's phone number, we will continue to share the phone number for a rolling 30-day window. The important thing here is to understand what resets the window. The window resets each time there is an interaction involving the user's phone number. Let me walk through the scenarios on this slide. In scenario 3, you have an interaction with user C's phone number on day 0. That starts the 30-day window. Within those 30 days, user C adopts a username and sends you a message. Because you are still within the window, the phone number is shared. But notice, that message came in via the username, not the phone number. So it did not reset the window. On day 31st, user C sends another message. And now the phone number is not shared because the original window has expired. In scenario 4, you have an interaction with user D's phone number on day 0. Within those 30 days, there is another interaction. And this one is also with user D's phone number because user D has not adopted a username yet. That resets the window. A new 30-day clock starts. Then, on what would have been day 31st from the original interaction, user D adopts a username and sends a message. But because the window was reset by that second phone number interaction, we are still within the new 30-day window, and the phone number is shared. So the key difference between these two scenarios is, in scenario 3, the interaction after day 0 was via BSUID, so the window was not reset. In scenario 4, the interaction after day 0 was via phone number, so the window was reset. This 30-day lookback operates at the business phone number level, unlike the contact book, which is at the business portfolio level. The takeaway is that we'll continue sharing phone numbers when there is a demonstrated prior connection with the phone number. But if there has been no phone number interaction in over 30 days and the contact book does not have an entry, the phone number will not be in the webhook. But that does not mean you have lost access to it. You can ask for it. Here's how. We are introducing a request contact info button for templates and interactive messages. If you need a user's phone number for your CRM, regulatory reasons, or for any other purpose, you can ask for it natively using this button. You can see how this will look like from a user's point of view in this slide. When a user taps it and chooses to send, their contact card is shared in the thread. This triggers a webhook in their phone number and automatically adds their number to your contact book. From that point on, future webhooks will include their phone number. But remember, users have the choice of whether or not to share the phone number. If a user chooses not to share, businesses will need to account for this and update journeys or bots to handle these scenarios. The good news is that a decline is not permanent. You can ask again in a future conversation. Alright, Now let's talk about parent BSUIDs. If you are a large enterprise operating multiple business portfolios, maybe different brands or regions, you get a different BSUID for the same user in each portfolio. That creates a deduplication problem and CRM overhead. To solve this, eligible businesses can link the portfolio to receive parent BSUIDs. These are single identifiers that work across all your linked phone numbers and portfolios. You can identify a parent BSUID by the .ent.marker in the string. In your webhooks, it appears in new fields: parent user ID in contacts and from parent user ID in messages. Parent BSUIDs are enabled upon request through your Meta representative. And once enabled, they are automatically returned for every user interaction. Contact your Meta rep to see if you are eligible. We have mostly talked about usernames for users and BSUID preparation, but businesses will also be able to adopt usernames to build their brand presence on WhatsApp based on their business name rather than the phone numbers. Some key facts: business usernames are unique and are tied one-to-one to phone numbers. So for example, Jasper Market would be tied to one phone number, while Jasper's Market customer support would be tied to another. Unlike consumer usernames, businesses who adopt usernames will not hide their phone number. Businesses will maintain phone number visibility even with a username enabled, as businesses typically want more ways to be reached. Business usernames will be searchable in WhatsApp with exact match search, making it easier for customers to connect with you. Later this month, API businesses can create or claim their existing names, whether that is your WhatsApp display name, official business account name, Meta verified name, or your Facebook or Instagram handle, getting first access to a username reserved for them. Alternatively, you can choose a different username that aligns with your branding. Usernames can be claimed through WhatsApp Manager, Meta Business Suite, Ads Manager, and via API. Good. Let's talk about the timeline. The timeline is important because some of these changes are already live in our webhooks today, while others are coming in the next few months. Let's make sure you know exactly what to do and when. We started sharing information about this late last year to get it on your radar for planning purposes. We also started exposing dummy webhooks early this year so you could begin testing with dummy BSUID data. In early April, real BSUIDs started appearing in your webhooks, along with the launch of the contact book. In May, the API started supporting sending messages to BSUIDs, so you should be well on your way to complete the integration by now, ahead of when users can start adopting usernames in June, with general availability targeted for later. If you have not already, your webhooks and databases need to be updated. This is your number one priority. Here's a migration checklist to help you assess where you stand. Everything on this list should be complete or in progress by now. Assess the impact of usernames on your systems. Test your webhook handlers with BSUID data. Update your incoming webhooks to handle the new fields. Store BSUID to phone number mappings in your database. Propagate BSUID and username data downstream to your CRMs, billing systems, and analytics. Then, support BSUID in our Send API requests and add the phone number request call to action we just covered. If any of these are not done yet, that is your priority. We have linked the full migration checklist on this slide with detailed guidance on each step. Let's address a few of the most common questions we hear. Are phone numbers going away? No, you can still send messages to phone numbers you already have, even if a user has adopted a username. Nothing changes on the sending side. Do you only get BSUIDs for username adopters? No, everyone started getting BSUIDs early this year, and they are sent for any interaction, not just for incoming messages from usernames adopters. Sending a message to a phone number will also return the user's BSUID in status webhooks. When do you need to be ready? As mentioned, we started sharing information late last year and have been providing consistent updates to support your readiness. You should be complete or close to complete with your integration to be ready when users in some countries can start to use usernames later this month. To wrap up your next steps, 4 things to act on. 1. Review updated developer documentation. The link is on this slide. 2. Update your database schemas to allow for BSUIDs alongside phone numbers. They're not interchangeable. Store both. 3. Modify webhooks parsers so you do not crash if WhatsApp ID is missing. That is the single most common integration failure we are seeing. 4. Start testing the app dashboard today. Simulate scenarios and validate your code. The changes are already live. The sooner you prepare, the smoother this transition will be for your users and your business. Thank you for building on the WhatsApp business platform.